Yeah.
It's May 16th, 2024. Good evening. I'm with John Jekovich, highly decorated World War II veteran.
Yeah, highly decorated, 4209295, yeah.
All right. Well,
Huh?
I think two Purple Hearts and
Bronze Star.
And a
How do you
Bronze
figure
Stars.
two Purple Hearts?
Two Purple Hearts and a Brown Stars I consider highly decorated.
Yeah.
All right. We're on it's chapter 16 of Civilian Life Once Again at page 466. The first thing that caught my attention when we pulled into the dock area was the abundance of cars traveling the nearby highway with their headlights
I noticed
blazing
that,
away,
yeah.
as if they were a welcoming committee. We immediately disembarked and were marched to a mess hall for a steak dinner with ice cream and all the cold milk you could drink. I did not realize how much I missed the cold milk, and I drank my first glass. It was good to be home. Now, to this date, you love cold milk.
Yeah.
All right, that's it.
Never had cold milk for a long time.
Yeah. We stayed 2 days at Fort Dix and received our back pay, mustering out pay, transportation money, and a complete uniform, extra clothing, and a new duffel bag. On March 22nd, 1946, I was separated from the United States Army. I was a civilian, free to lead my own life and go where I pleased, to do what I wanted to. The Army taught me self-reliance, and now I would soon learn how putting that training to good use. Going from a soldier to civilian was just as difficult, if not more so, than going from civilian to soldier. I would have the rest of my life to find that out. Somewhere in the bitter cold of the Andres is apparent nearness of death in the Battle of Bulge, and clean, sterile atmosphere of an Army hospital, and finally the constant anxiety of patrols on the Maas and Rhines River, I had come to grits with my destiny. I was not until the quiet periods and swipes that I came to realize my future lay with my beginnings, no matter how terrible they may have been. All the soul searching for answers and direction in Owensboro and again in Haverford West were all to no avail. I knew what I had to do right from the start, but everything got clouded up by emotional immaturity and the discovery that I was a person with likes and dislikes. What I took for love was only a gasping of straws, as I had nothing else to fill my empty life with. I had nothing to relate with to our reference. I was adrift and sought the first safe harbor. Anne and Jean filled this void to a large extent, and I will always hold them in special favor. I was fortunate to have them enter my empty life, and I shall always be grateful to them for that. Renee was a culmination in the zenith of my emotional maturity. Her endearing love was real and boundless. It was eternal. She amplified all that I've ever wanted, and I truly believe that I loved her with all my heart. It was unfortunate that we both had mitigating circumstances, her religion and my family obligations. We would have been good for each other, and our love would have sustained us through our entire lives. For this first time, I felt good to be going home, to be among those who cared for me and my well-being. I certainly gave my fullest while at home before being drafted, and I felt I should revert to the same when I returned. I would always abide by the dictum, to do good for the family, and not out of desire and duty, but out of love and brotherhood. For was not that what Fink and Leip and others had died for, the love of fellow human beings. They made a supreme sacrifice that we might live. We must not fail them, for to fail them we do die, but not in the glorious way that they did. I was glad to be going home. I hailed an honesty to my parents, that were my brothers and sisters. I came home and they had outstretched for love and understanding. I had enough of fighting and distrust. I wanted to live by the credo we had in battle, to look after one another and support them to the fullest. It was snowing slightly when I got off the bus at the George Terminal in downtown Niagara Falls.
Oh, boy, George.
When you got off that bus in downtown Niagara Falls, how did it look to you compared to how you remembered it?
Well, it was the same, but it was different compared to what I said before, later.
Was it better than you thought or worse?
Just the same.
The same? The
Yeah.
same old stores?
Huh?
The same stores? The
Yeah,
same two movie theaters?
On Montgomery Ward's on one side and Sears on the other side.
And the same movie theaters? The same movie theaters used to work at?
Grand and Cataract,
Still there?
right next to one another.
Beautiful.
Definitely Dairy.
The cars were still parking diagonally on Fall Street, and Sears and Roebuck and Montgomery Ward were still in their familiar places. It seemed strange to be walking in a familiar town, yet feel so alienated to be there. I recalled the sights and sounds, even the dull thunder of the falls in the background, yet it seemed unreal for some strange reason. So when you got there, you're downtown Niagara Falls, and you could hear the thunder. You hear the thunder of the falls, right?
Yeah.
That must have been something. That must have been something.
That's when I had that do-it-yourself laundry. At 3 o'clock in the morning, you can hear the falls.
I felt the tinge of an uneasiness until I realized my instincts were trying to tell me something. I stopped in front of Walgreens at the bus stop and set my duffel bag on the wet pavement. I was still in uniform, but it was as if I was invisible. No one paid attention to my uniform or even acknowledged my presence there. I wonder why. The war was over. They should have been grateful.
What did they ignore?
You said you got off the bus in Niagara Falls and you put your duffel bag down and you're still in your military uniform and no one even recognized you. They should have been grateful that you helped fight in the war.
Yeah. It doesn't work like that.
No one paid attention to my uniform or even acknowledged my presence there. Even the young girls my age would pass and not glance over. But that was quite different when you're in France and Haverford West in uniform. Everyone was extremely friendly.
Yeah.
But when you got back and the war was over,
It's just another DI.
they would just stroll by, engrossed in their own little world, only taking note when something struck their fancy. I came to the apparent conclusion that no one really cared about my involvement in the war. They all thought they had made just as many sacrifices, regardless of where they were and what they were doing. It was mid-morning on a brisk, cold March day, and I was shivering on the street corner, waiting for the bus to take me home. I had declined the Army-issued overcoat for the field jacket, thinking that it would be much warmer here than it really was. My issue gloves were in the duffel bag, probably way at the bottom. I finally saw a familiar sign, Niagara Street.
Yeah.
You're familiar with that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Niagara Street. On the marquee of the bus as if it approached the bus stop. It was warm inside the bus, and the heat felt good. I handed the driver a quarter, and he gave me some change back. When I slipped into my field jacket, there was only one other person on the bus, a middle-aged woman who was deeply engrossed in the paper she was reading. She lacked the concern of my presence, and a slight pique through me, but I quickly dismissed it. After all, it was almost a year since the war in Europe was over, and a little less than that for the war in the Pacific. So by the time he got home, the war was over for a year.
Yeah.
And you were jumping around to debarkment station for a year. That war ended a year ago, and I imagine the Pacific War ended like 6 months ago, so it wasn't big on anyone's list there now.
No, they didn't worry about it. They didn't worry about it.
They just moved on.
Life goes on.
They moved on. After all, it was almost a year since the war in Europe was over, and little less that for a war in Paris, Pacific. I took a window seat and set my duffel bag beside me on the double seat. The floor was wet from the snow. People brought into the bus, and there were crushed cigarettes strewn about, something I have never seen during my time in the Army. So the people that were on the bus before you, everyone smoked, and they basically took the cigarette, threw it on the floor, and stepped it out.
Yeah.
So you didn't see that when you were in the war?
No.
They were a lot more organized and domestic. As the driver pulled away, I gazed out the window, looking at the passing storefronts I had seen 1,000 times before. A long time ago, somehow it looked different. Or more to the point, my perspective had changed, and I had something to relate to. I thought of my trips on the Paris metro, with everything seemed bright and alluring. Here it seemed dull and commonplace. I reflected a moment on Anne and Jean and how different their worlds were from mine. I knew that I was correct in my instinct in not bringing each one of them home with me. So now the war is over. It took you a year to get home. And now you're thinking that it was probably the best thing. How many minutes?
17.
Now you're thinking it was a right decision not to bring Anne or Jean home.
No, yeah.
Tell us why you thought that.
Well, because that's a different environment. They would never get accustomed to it. Never. No.
Or your mother.
Or the relatives. Yeah, the relatives. Not only my mother, but Stevie, Loki, J.K., all those idiots. Yeah.
They wouldn't treat him right.
Yeah.
They wouldn't treat him right, you mean, right?
No. They say, well, what are you doing here? Stevie didn't go to the service. I mean, he was in the service. He got out of the state. Loki went to Hawaii. They didn't see much of the war.
So your conclusion was, as you're on this bus ride going down Niagara Street, you did the right thing by not bringing any of these ladies home.
No, yeah. A lot of those guys brought the girlfriends home.
What?
A lot of those GIs from France brought their girlfriends home and they got married and started families.
I knew how I'd feel at this moment if Jean, Anne, or Renee were sitting next to me on the bus. I would be horrified thinking that we both made a terrible mistake and that I had ruined a wonderful person's life. As the bus passed the lower East Side, I saw the Capitol Theater where I once ushered. So you worked at the Capitol Theater.
Hippies room, Capitol, and the other one.
Was that a good job?
That was my job after school, yeah.
And what exactly did you do at the theaters?
Usher people down to the seats.
And were people really polite then?
Oh yeah, you had a brass light, go down the aisle, find an empty seat, click your light.
Everyone was pretty polite, right?
Huh?
They were polite people, not compared to most people today. They were polite and well-mannered.
Yeah.
Did most of the occupants in the movie theater get dressed up?
Sunday they did, yeah.
And so it was a pretty nice job you had there.
What?
You met a lot of people there.
What?
At the movie theater, it was a pretty nice job.
Well, they didn't talk. They just wanted a seat, and that was it.
I once ushered. I looked dismal, and now I look dismal and run down. Not the glowing place I had it made out to be when I worked there. I thought it was a Taj Mahal with a huge bright red curtain that I would open at the start of the movie. So you physically had to open the big red curtain?
Do I?
When you worked at the movie theater, one of your jobs was to physically pull open the red curtain?
No.
That was automatic?
There was a guy that did that.
Okay, so it wasn't automatic, it was...
It wasn't automatic yet.
And you thought back then, you said it was like the Taj Mahal,
What?
the movie theaters, when you were, before you went into the war, and now you said it kind of looks kind of run down.
No.
We rounded a curve on Portage Road, and we're now heading the final leg down Niagara Street. What do you know about Portage Road?
One I know about Portage Road was the curve in the road. When you went from Niagara Street to Portage Road to Main Street.
For the rest of your life, were you on Portage Road many times?
Yeah.
And for what reasons?
Oh, well, there were newspapers there every day.
And what kind of people did you deliver newspapers to?
Gina Klasinski, Polak paper.
Did any of them speak English?
Huh?
Did any of them speak English?
No, all Polish, all Polish.
So they're all Polish immigrants, probably hard-working immigrants compared to what we have today. How do they make a living?
They worked in steel mills. They worked in factories in Carborundum, Hillcourt, and all those places. They found jobs.
So they're hard-working people.
Yeah. They had low-income jobs, though. They were in skilled labor.
But they weren't taking advantage of the system like they do today.
No, they were working hard to stay with the system.
Okay, that's a good point. They're hard-working. The backbone of the economy then was hard-working, legal immigrants, not like illegal immigrants we have today, and they immediately go on great big government assistance. The bus driver would let me off on the last bus stop at the creek adjacent to Hyde Park Boulevard. When you got off at that last bus at Hyde Park Boulevard, what kind of stores were around you then?
There was that 7-Up store that Johnny Ryan had the store where they bottled Johnny Ryan took it around the grocery stores. And there was, the other one was Japanese food market, and then the Hyde Park pool, Hyde Park swimming pool, all that.
What about as far as taverns and convenience? What about as far as taverns and delicatessens?
The what?
What about as far as taverns and delicatessens?
Cameras?
Taverns, bars. Was there taverns and bars in the area?
Say what?
Taverns, bars, serving liquor.
Well, the bar on both sides of Niagara Street.
Did you ever go to them?
No. I was a ball field there. I used to play ball in a field.
Did you know anyone that went to those taverns?
No. What's his name? The guy across the street used to go in between the houses across from my park and the house, go down to the Stewart restaurant. There was tavern, a beer joint.
Was he there every day drinking?
He was drinking down there, yeah.
Every day?
Every day he'd go down there.
Why would he cut through your house?
Pardon?
Why would he cut through your house?
Well, if he didn't, he had to go all the way up to the creek and make a turn. So he just decided to take one outlet for a house and take it, and that was it.
The remaining ride down Niagara Street was equally depressing. The little storefront where I took accordion lessons from Mr. Walshinsky every Wednesday afternoon after school and was still there. So how did your accordion lessons go? What do you remember of your teacher?
carrying those quarters down the street from there, Orleans Avenue up to 42 where Brzezinski had his studio.
How long of a walk would that be?
That would be about a mile and a half.
Did you learn to play the accordion well?
No, I could play with my music. I couldn't play by ear.
Did you play good by music sheets?
What?
Were you able to play well by music sheets? By instead of
Oh
by,
yeah. Then I got into the organ, and I got to the other one there.
How was the instructor?
Brzezinski, yeah, his feet stuck all the time.
His what? His feet?
His feet, yeah.
How the hell did you smell his feet? What did he teach you?
I don't know.
You have a very sensitive nose, though,
Never
right?
washed his feet.
You're a very sensitive nose.
Huh?
Was that accordion teacher? Was he a World War II vet?
No, he was 80 years old when I had him.
You think he was a World War I vet?
He probably. I don't even think he was that.
I see. Do you think he lived in Niagara Falls all of his life?
Probably Buffalo or Niagara Falls.
Did your two brothers take accordion lessons?
My two brothers? No. Stevie played the violin, but he was very good at it.
And what?
Look, he wasn't interested in any of that.
He had no interest in music?
No, nothing.
So, why were you selected out to take accordion lessons?
Who?
Why were you chosen?
Why I chose it?
Yeah. Did your parents ask you to take accordion
No,
lessons?
I just thought it was, I like to do it. And then I played the organ and everything else.
How were you on the organ?
I was good on the organ, yeah.
How about the piano?
Piano I wasn't too good, though.
How about the guitar?
No, I couldn't do any strings.
Banjo?
Couldn't do any strings.
How about clarinet?
No, none of that stuff.
So basically the accordion, piano, and organ.
Yeah.
And how was Uncle Stevie, besides taking violin lessons, what else lessons did he take?
Well, he thought he could play the violin. He could not play the violin. But he got there and started scratching on that bowl all the time.
How did your mother like his music?
She said, get him out of the house. She's making too much noise.
Are you kidding me? Is that what your mother told you, to get him the hell out of the house?
Yeah, he's making too much noise.
How did your mother like you playing the accordion?
I played the accordion. Well, see, my mother worked all the time, but she worked during the daytime. And that wasn't out in school. I could play the accordion during the daytime, and then when she got home, I cut off.
Did you mostly play polkas? Did you mostly play polka music?
No, I played American music. Music that was popular at the time.
Okay.
With Glenn Miller.
Oh, Glenn Miller stuff. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And all the good songs.
Where's that accordion today?
Who knows? Who knows?
When's the last time you seen that accordion?
Probably last time I went for a lesson.
Never seen it again?
Never seen it again. A lot of that stuff that I got out of the service, I never saw my uniforms, I never saw my dog tags, I never saw anything off that when I got off that bus.
What the hell would you guess happened to it all?
Pardon?
What would you guess happened to it all?
Somebody grabbed it and I think it was Sally.
What would she have done with it?
She probably sold it. She took all the V-mails I gave my mother.
Now that was an important thing, those V-mails.
Yeah. Burn them all up. She was vindictive anyway.
Did your brothers send V-mails home?
No. Well, Looky was in Hawaii. He was home almost every weekend. Stevie was in locally. He's in Ithaca, New York. He was going to school there, and he used to come back on the weekends.
All right, so when you got off the bus off of Niagara Street, were your two brothers and sisters home?
Well, in fact, I got off the bus about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So they were mostly in school, or they were in driving here to get home.
So, but were they still living in Niagara Falls at the time?
Now, Stevie was living in Ithaca, New York. Looky was living in Niagara Falls. Sally was living in Niagara Falls. J.K. was living in Niagara Falls.
Did they have their own house?
No.
Mr. Walshinsky. Wow. Wednesday afternoon after school. And Mr. Walshinsky's office was still there when he got out.
Yeah, on Portage Road, Niagara Street.
Wow. Was that a house?
There was a house, yeah.
Did it still have a sign out, accordion lessons or something like that?
Nothing on the sign, no. He go, but just by here.
How did you pay him? How much was accordion lesson back then?
I could play, but play by music. I couldn't play by ear.
But how much
see,
was...
that Russell downstairs, he plays by ear.
Okay.
I
What does he
couldn't do
play?
that. Huh?
What does Russell play?
He plays the violin.
How did he compare to Uncle Steve?
He played a hell of a lot better.
Hell of a lot better.
Oh, yeah. Stevie would scratch around with that bow, but he wouldn't do much.
What about... How much were accordion lessons back then?
$1.25 an hour.
That was a nice lesson you had there. That was a nice lesson. Further on down the crossing 24th Street was Pete's Grill.
Yeah.
What do you remember of Pete's Grill?
Well, Hank went in there. People on the street went in there. There was a family gathering in there.
Did you go in there?
No.
Did your brothers go in there?
Stevie? No, Stevie was never home. He was always in Ithaca.
How about your other brother?
Yeah, well, he was running away. I was picking him up all the time.
Where would you pick him up from?
Painted Post.
What the hell is a Painted Post? What would you
It's
run?
about 120 miles from Niagara Falls.
There's nothing in Painted Post. It's a farm town.
Yeah,
what was he doing there?
That's evidently he stopped there, and I don't know. The cops called me up and said, "Well, look, he's down there. We just picked him up. You better get him out home."
So how'd you get him home?
Well, I was driving then.
And what did he say when you came for him?
Oh, how you guys doing? I got my own life. All that horse shit.
So you'd have to drive there and pick him up. And where'd you pick him up from? The police station?
No, I picked him up at Painted Post.
Yeah, but where was he at?
He wasn't in jail. He didn't do anything.
Okay, but where was he? Where would you meet him at in Painted Post?
Where was he living?
No,
probably some hotel room.
Okay, so you went there and picked him up and then brought him back.
Yeah.
And what did your mother say to him then?
She said, "You better stop this running away. We're spending a lot of money going back and forth for you."
Did your mother come with you when you went to get him?
No, I went by myself.
Wow.
My mother was working, my father was working.
At 4th Street was Pete's Grill. I think Pete's Grill is still there today.
Probably across the street on Niagara Street, yeah.
And I had many occasions attempted to lure Lookie out and head him for home. So we had to get your brother out of there many times.
Wow.
It says, on many occasions, I attempted to lure Lookie out of Pete's Grill and head him home.
Yeah,
So he had
never
to-
happened.
So you had to get him out of the bar then.
Yeah, but when he got drunk, he's unbearable.
So how would you...
He didn't want to know nothing. Hey, the hell are you at?
So you weren't able to get him home.
Oh, I don't know. When am I going to start fighting with him?
Was he looking to fight at that time?
No, he was just aggravated. He said, no, leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Well, did he have a lot of friends in Pete's Bar and Grill?
What?
Did he have a lot of friends?
Well, I don't know if he had a lot of friends, but when he went in there, there were people in there in the same atmosphere he's in, same look on life, and they were all talking together.
Would your brother drink primarily beer or liquor?
Stevie?
No, Lookie.
Lookie was drinking beer, yeah. Stevie was drinking hard stuff.
Okay.
He would never drink beer.
Oh, your brother Steve would never drink beer?
No.
I wonder why.
It was more sociable except to drink the hard stuff.
So what would he drink?
Beer was all commonplace for working class.
I see. So what would he drink then?
He drank name brand whiskeys.
Did he ever drink in front of you?
No, he'd come home and he had about, I don't think he ever brought a bottle home. I think he went out to the liquor store, bought a bottle, brought it home, and put it in the refrigerator, and my mother didn't say anything, and for supper, he'd take it out for a glass of drink or what.
Did your mother drink?
No, my father didn't drink.
Your father didn't drink?
No.
Did your mother smoke?
No.